Welcome to Real Estate Real World, where we talk to the movers, shakers, and leaders that are getting it done right now in the real estate industry and beyond. I'm your host, Marguerite Crespillo, and I started this podcast simply dedicated to calling people about what's really happening in this crazy roller coaster ride of real estate. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and stay up to date on the newest stuff by adding yourself to the list at www.realestaterealworld.com. Now, let's dive into the world of real estate. Hello, everybody. This is Marguerite Crespillo, and welcome. I'm excited today to have somebody who has just skyrocketed to the forefront in the last couple of years. A couple of years ago, I'd never even heard this gal's name, and now she is just taking over, and I'm really impressed with her and what she's been able to accomplish, especially considering all that she has going on in her life. So let me introduce Amanda Todd. Is a full-time realtor and a single mother of 3 beautiful children. Amanda dove into the real estate going from being a stay-at-home mom to a full-time realtor less than 2 years ago. In that time, she has amazingly closed over $20 million in real estate and still manages to have life balance by dropping off and picking up her children from school every day. She is passionate about quality relationships with her clients and very savvy at problem solving and juggling their needs, all while attending to her family and keeping them as her top priority. She was the Breakthrough Agent of the Year in 2014 for the Realty One group in the Sacramento area, and she's in the top 2% of realtors in Placer County. I would say probably the top 2% nationwide. But in a 6-week period, she was able to successfully close 11 transactions, run a full marathon, volunteer in each of her kids' classes at schools each week, and attended 2 school field trips, all while staying happy, healthy, upbeat, and enjoying life. Welcome, Amanda. That is a heck of a bio. Holy cow.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm truly honored.
Thank you so much. Tell us all a little bit. I'm going to throw us in front of the bus. We were literally texting at 5:30 this morning doing miracle mornings, right? So we all got together, a few of us gals, and said, all right, let's hold each other accountable. So I was cracking up when I literally got a text. This is the first day at 5:30 this morning. And Amanda had already been up, I think, for, an hour and already gotten her miracle morning done, and we were just rolling out of bed. So tell me, how did you decide to get into real estate? What took you from, hey, I'm at home one day, and now I'm going to go sell real estate?
I would say a couple different things. One, I was forced to start going to work. I was a stay-at-home mom for 9.5 years, and I got a divorce. And it was the stark reality of, okay, I have to provide for myself and 3 children now. And I wanted something that would provide a lot of flexibility, because having been a stay-at-home mom, truly the thought of putting my children in daycare made me sick to my stomach. And so I said, okay, I feel very strongly, for whatever reason, that I need to be there with my kids. And so I need a job that I can be flexible and that I can still make enough money to provide for my family. And so I was a military wife, and so I've moved around the country quite a bit. And in buying and selling houses, I honestly did a lot of the legwork myself anytime I had a real estate transaction. And I thought, you know what? I can do this. I already know so much about it just from my own personal experience. There's no reason for me to not be able to jump into this and do it really well. And so that's how I started, and I knew that realtors made good money, and so I said, okay, I'm going to do this. It was honestly daunting and scary, because it's not like I came with a big sphere of influence and knew a ton of people in the area that I lived in. I moved now 3 years ago into Placer County from across the country. I moved from Louisiana. So I really, truly had zero connections and just said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And for me, success was my only option. And I attribute that fighting mindset to never settling and really just saying, I'm worth it, I deserve this success. If anyone else can do it, there's no reason that I can't. And so I feel like that's just what launched me into my career, and meeting some people in the real estate industry that said, you would be good at this. And so I think having that extra confidence boost, too, of having people that I knew were successful in the industry telling me that I would do well at it, that really affirmed my confidence in myself to be able to do well at it.
So tell me this. I'm sure that our listeners are wondering, like, how the heck did you go from 0 to 20 million in 18 months? So tell me what you did in those first 90 days, because I think that's probably the most challenging part for most brand new agents, is that they get their license and they're like, now what?
I received some really good pieces of advice. I've always been with the same broker. We originally were a small boutique brokerage, and then he bought into the Realty One franchise, and I just have always stayed with him. And I asked him, okay, now what do I do? And he gave me some really key pieces of advice. He said, one, concentrate on a very niche market that you want to market to. He said one of the biggest mistakes that people can make is by spreading themselves too thin in their marketing. We're in the Sacramento area. For someone to say, I want to cover Placer County, there are a lot of people that live in Placer County. It's much better to hyper-focus on one area. So I took that to heart, what he told me, and I decided to focus on my neighborhood that I live in and make myself basically the neighborhood expert. And I started doing a newsletter every single month. I started hosting community events in my neighborhood because there's no HOA in my neighborhood, so we don't already have community events. So I took on the job myself as the community events planner and made them free, fun events for the community. And then I also invested in marketing in Zillow, but I chose once again to market in my zip code only. And so just really hyper-focused on a specific area in my marketing. And then what I did is I got out. I went to every open house that I could find. I started going and previewing listings in my neighborhood because I wanted to be knowledgeable about the market in my area. I wanted to know the floor plans that were available in my neighborhood. And my neighborhood has about 1,350 homes in it. So there are, I believe, 6 or 7 builders. So there's a dramatic amount of different floor plans in my neighborhood. And I wanted to really be able to stand behind the reputation of the neighborhood expert. And so I did that. I got out and I just went to open houses. I met people, and I started building business relationships as well. I remember that one time very early on I went to an open house, and funny enough, there actually wasn't an agent at the open house. It was a lender that was there. And I have very high energy, and I come bouncing in, and, hi, my name's Amanda Todd, and I'm a new agent in the area, and I live here in the neighborhood, and I want to familiarize myself. And what's really funny is that lender and I have developed a very strong relationship. And he said, first when he met me, he was like, oh, great, here comes another one. But then he said, as he talked to me, he could tell that I was really, truly genuine in my desire to become the neighborhood expert, and the fact that I was so high energy and just enthusiastic. He said all of those things. He said, we are lacking so much of that in the real estate industry, just people who have an authenticity about their work and what they want to do. And so because of that relationship that I developed with him and because of my hyper-local marketing, I closed my first 2 deals on the same day about 6 weeks after I really jumped head first into all of this. One was a referral from that lender, and the other one was a Zillow lead from that same zip code. So it just all has to do with just really picking the area that I wanted to be my niche market and just working at that.
I think that's incredible advice that you received, and I know that I've given that advice lots of times too. And I'm always amazed at how few really follow it. And you're a true testament to the fact that if you just stay focused and you concentrate in a specific area or even a specific target. I have a great saying that I've heard and used called get rich in your niche, where if you really choose a specific area, target, maybe it's not an area, but it's a type of property or a type of, there's a couple great examples. There's a guy back in Florida who they call the condo king. All the guy does is sell condos, and he only works in 3 buildings.
Wow.
And that guy will do $20+ million this year as well. Even I have a page called Country Property and Estates. Like, focusing on a specific target in your area is so key. So what would you say?
You could be a jack of all trades and master of none. Exactly.
Isn't that a great saying? I love that. So what would you say have been some of the challenges that you have encountered in this first 18 months?
Once again, focus. It is really easy to, when you don't have a boss telling you what time you have to be at work, and I think that real estate agents in general are very known for not keeping schedule or not having accountability. And for me, I use my life circumstances to be my accountability. And one of the biggest things that I would encourage people to do that has helped me, that I feel could be a downfall for a lot of people, is I absolutely hold myself to a schedule. I get myself up. I do my miracle morning every day. I get myself ready for the day. I get my kids ready for school, and we all walk out the door together, ready for the day by 7:55 every morning. And I would say that losing focus is probably the number one thing that I struggle with, and my miracle morning has definitely been absolutely the key factor in me keeping my focus. And so I would say that's a struggle, and I would say definitely juggling life as a single mom. It is not easy, and there are times where I have had to take the leap of faith and tell my clients, I'm sorry, that time won't work for me to meet. And sadly, especially in the beginning, I would hold my breath and say, okay, I really am risking losing this client over this. They may call another agent. But I have my why. I have my big why, and that's my children, and they're my number one priority. And I feel like, especially in this business, it can be so easy to put those ones that are closest to us that we feel will always be there for us no matter what on the back burner for that next deal, for this big, important client, that next deal. And I feel like if we really have our why and keep that as our focus, that it will definitely help when those forks in the road come that we have to make a decision between the right thing or the easy thing. And those often are not the same thing. And so I think that's definitely been my biggest struggle, is learning how to juggle keeping my children as a top priority, while also making sure that my clients feel like they have the customer service level that they deserve and really being there for them when they need it.
I just had this conversation with my team yesterday in talking about how to make sure that you put the important stuff in your schedule first, right? I feel blessed that I learned early on. My mentor was Joe Stump with Fire for Lonely, and he taught us I learned this back in 1996, about how to create your ideal schedule, and I do this training in my master class as well, and creating that ideal schedule of what you want your schedule to look like. What does that look like in the perfect world? And putting the important stuff in first, right? Family, relationships, life, and then working around that with your client schedule. But I think people get so panicked, like you mentioned, that, I might lose a client over it. If you have that conversation with a client up front, you tell them what your schedule is up front, I'm here to tell you that 99% of the time people are respectful of your schedule. My voicemail even says, I work Monday through Friday, Saturdays and evenings by appointment. I take Sundays off to be with my family. And So people will literally leave me messages on Sunday saying, hey, I know you're off today with your family, so give me a call tomorrow. And I think that's so vital in creating balance. And it's easy to become addicted, for lack of a better word, to this business where you feel like you have to be on 24/7. And then you'll always get that voicemail from usually another agent who says, I can't believe you don't answer your phone. Or I can't believe you're taking Sundays off. I literally got a funny story. I got a voicemail last week from somebody. They were not a client. They were simply a sign call. And their voicemail said, answer your dang phone, right? They left a message. So I called him back. And when I called him back, I got his voicemail. And I was cracking up. I was like, the reality is that we all have to have some balance. But when you tell people that up front, they're always respectful. Don't you find that?
Oh, absolutely. And the one thing that I've found, and it's nerve-wracking and it takes a leap of faith, but the one thing that I have found is that really, truly, the more we respect ourselves and the more that we show that self-respect of valuing our time, the more our clients respect that. If we treat ourselves, oh, I'm so sorry, and I can't do this, or the lack of confidence that we have will broadcast to our clients. If you think about the most prestigious attorneys or doctors, things like that, do they value their time, and do they make sure that their clients value their time as well? Absolutely. There's only one person that I've ever had. Between the hours of 3 and 7, I really try not to take any phone calls. I'll respond to texts and emails, but I make it very clear to my clients that's my time that I'm with my children. And I tell them if there's an emergency, obviously call me and we can address it, but text and email is my preferred method of communication during those hours. And there's only ever one client that had a problem with that. And I ended up terminating our relationship together. And about 2 weeks later, he came back to me and said, can I please work with you? I didn't appreciate you enough. And now that I started working with another agent, I realized how much you exceeded the industry and how different you were to work with, and I really appreciate that you do value your children and your schedule. And so I took him back, and after that, it was great. He never bothered me once about those hours. And so I feel like the amount of respect that we carry for ourselves will be projected to our clients, and they will treat us with that same amount of respect.
Yeah, you have to set your own boundaries, and if you don't have, the confidence to set your own boundaries, you're definitely going to struggle in every area, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And it's tough, though. I will not lie. I will be the first person to say it is scary to take that leap of faith of setting those boundaries. But then once you have those positive reinforcing experiences with it, then you realize, oh, wait, I only want the type of people in my life that respect my boundaries, because if they don't, then they're not going to make a positive contribution to my life. And we only want people in our lives that make a contribution to us.
And I think that's
people that we make a contribution, then we can help our clients even better.
Absolutely. And I think that is also a big mistake that agents make, is that they feel like they've got to help everybody. And you don't have to help everybody. You just need the few that help you accomplish your own goals. I posted a great quote this morning in my Real Estate Strategies and Accountability Facebook group that I saw, and it said, if you don't believe in you enough to invest in you, then don't be surprised when others don't invest in you, Grant Cardone. And I love that.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I just think that that's so valuable, and everything you're saying supports that. Tell me what a typical day for you looks like. We talked about your morning ritual, but by 7:55 a.m. So what does the rest of a day in the life of Amanda look like?
I drop my kiddos off at school, and I am back in my office at 8:15 every morning. And if there's just one thing that I can impress upon everyone, there's a quote that says, get up, dress up, and show up. I cannot tell you how many times that I have had opportunities of clients that wanted to meet with me last minute during the day, things like that, that because I was in the office, dressed, ready to go, that I could say, sure. I could not imagine if I'd been in my running clothes still and my hair pulled up and no makeup on and trying to scramble and be somewhere in 30 minutes. Instead, I am here prepared every morning at 8:15. The times that I'm not here at 8:15 are very few and far between. I get to my office at 8:15. I have an awesome assistant, and we have our scheduled powwow time at 8:30 every morning where we go through what she's working on for the day, and then I give her any specific items above and beyond that. We call them fire items that I need done, and we rank them on a priority level or a set kind of a completion time by them, like what time of the day I need them, because some are more urgent than others. And then I get to work on my own pieces of the business that I handle myself. So there's certain clients that I will be following up with. There's different negotiating pieces of the transaction that I work with. There is following up with my database, which I'm not stellar at, and I know, Marguerite, you can teach me to do better at that. But that's what my morning consists of. And then by around 11 or 11:30, I either set that time apart to meet with clients, because I have a lot of clients that will meet during lunchtime, which, once again, I love, so that my evenings are free to be with my family. Or I will foster business-to-business relationships during that time, whether it's meeting with other affiliate partners or having lunch with them or taking clients out to lunch. But during my lunch hour, that's usually a time that I'm either with clients or fostering business-to-business relationships. And then my afternoon, that's when I usually try to show houses, is during the afternoon. And then I pick my kids up from school every day at 3 o'clock. And then I'm home doing homework and fixing dinner and still, fielding texts and phone calls, things like that. And then I have specific evenings that my kids are not with me, and so those are the times that I make a priority for evening appointments. And I usually fill those evenings up, and the few Saturdays that my kids are not with me, I fill those up with clients as well.
That's awesome. And I love what you said about get up, dress up, and show up. I think that so here's a question. When you get to the office at 8:15 in the morning, how many other agents are there in your office?
There are usually 2 other agents here. There's the old joke that says the loneliest place is a real estate office at 8 o'clock in the morning.
That's so true. And, it's such a simple key to success, and just getting dressed. Like, you always feel better when you are completely dressed, you got your makeup on, or for you guys, not makeup, but at least maybe you shaved and cleaned up, and like, you never regret going into the office dressed up, but you'll always regret going in your sweats or jeans or that kind of thing. And show up for the success that you want to be, right? Not necessarily where you are right now, but show up where you want to be.
I cannot tell you how many times there have been different opportunities that have come along because I was ready for the day. Mentally, physically. Funny enough, and I've heard stories of this happening, and I thought, this will never happen in my office just because our office is off the beaten path a little bit, so we don't get a lot of foot traffic. But I don't know, maybe 3 months ago, I was sitting in my office working with my assistant, and the receptionist came in, and she goes, "Someone just walked in and wants an agent to write a contract for him." And I looked at her and I said, "Huh?" She goes, "He wants to make an offer, and he needs an agent." She goes, "Will you do it?" I was like, "Sure." So I went out and met the guy who had walked in, and there was another agent he'd been working with, and he wanted to make a lower price offer, and the other agent said, "No, I'm not writing that offer for you." Okay. So I brought him into one of our client meeting rooms and talked to him, and there's computers in there, so I pulled up the property he was talking about, and so let's call the listing agent first and make sure it really truly is still available. And so I called him, and unfortunately that property was already in contract, and they were not accepting any backup offers. But then I started talking to him. I just closed him 2 weeks ago on a deal, all because I was sitting in my office in the morning.
And not to say that you should sit in your office all day, but the fact is,
for sure. Right? But I was the only one here.
But it's such opportunity. Luck is when opportunity. What is that? Now I can't remember the saying.
When opportunity meets preparation.
Exactly. Right. When you're prepared and you're ready to go, then those opportunities walk in the door. I just so believe in that. I can't even tell you how many times things like that have happened. Or even if you're dressed up and you happen to be walking through the grocery store and you meet somebody, and because you look professional and you look like who you are, how people will treat you, such a difference. I'm here to tell you, I think that it's funny that out of, you guys have a pretty big office, 150-plus agents, and 2 or 3 are there in the morning. But they're the ones who are always going to be successful because they're ready.
And I would say the biggest thing is have a routine. Have a routine, whatever it is, besides if it's your routine to be sitting on the couch and watching TV. But have a routine. Be very intentional in your day.
I think that it's fascinating you say that, because here's the funny statistics about real estate in general is that it tends to attract people who don't want to work. You're a freak of nature, as am I and several of the other top people. But the truth is many people get into real estate because they think, oh, I won't have to work that hard, and I can make lots of money and drive a fancy car and just work a few hours a week. But the ones who actually drive the fancy cars and make good money are the ones who treat it like a job. They create a schedule.
Yes.
They show up, like you said, get up, dress up, and show up. You can find them almost every single morning at the office at 8 or 8:30 in the morning. And those are the people who are the top 1% across the nation. When you follow those people around, I always say if you could follow somebody around all day with a video camera, what would they be doing? And the successful ones are working. They're getting stuff done. They're making phone calls. But they make it look easy. True pros make things look smooth and seamless. They don't really make things look like they're difficult because they practice.
Well, and that is funny that you say that, because I cannot count the number of people who have seen me go from stay-at-home mom to where I'm at now, who have come to me and said, I've seen your success. I want to get into the real estate industry as well. How do I get started? How do I get to where you're at? And I laugh because I'm like, wow, I must make it look really easy. I must make it look like I just wear pretty clothes every day and drive a fancy car, and that's it, and that's all I do. One of my favorite pictures, and I can email it to you, is a ballerina. And it shows a point, shoe on one foot, and then it shows just these gnarled, mangled toes. And it says, everyone wants to be successful until they see what it takes.
Oh, I love that picture. I've seen that. That is truly one of my favorites. I think I've posted it before, too. It's so good. They don't have any idea. And for myself, having now been in the business 22-plus years, same thing. It's like they don't realize the hours and the time and the energy. Like when my kids were little, I know you and I talked about this one time, I remember when my kids were little, literally I would get up before they got up and get work done, and then after they went to bed, I would work. So I was sleeping like 4 or 5 hours a night, and I would put my kids to bed at 8 o'clock, and then I would have the evening free to be able to get work done and that kind of stuff. But people aren't necessarily willing to put in the work. My brother says it best. I've said this several times on my show, is that everyone wants to get to heaven, but no one wants to die, right? They all want the results, but they don't want to put the work required in. So I was laughing to myself as I was saying that, because I was thinking, if I did follow yourself or myself around with that video camera, I'm sure I would see some pretty crazy stuff and outfits and looks late at night and early in the morning.
Oh, for sure. And it's one thing that I'm actually working on is scaling that back just for my own mental health, to make sure I'm taking care of myself, because truly my routine was that. So I got sidetracked from my daily routine. So I come home and do homework and dinner with my kids and spend time with my kids. I do something that, if there's anybody out there who are parents that are listening to this, is something that has been absolutely so crucial in strengthening my relationships with my kids. Because I do something called Mom and Me time with my kids, and I try to do it every single day. And it's amazing how difficult it can be, sadly, to carve this out, but I carve out 10 minutes for each one of my kids, and I let them pick what we're going to do, and it's just one-on-one time for me with that kiddo. and they get to pick whether it's me playing Mario 3D World with my 9-year-old son, or if it's having a tea party with my 6-year-old, or if it's, baking something with my daughter who's almost 11. I let them choose, and that's what we do for our mom and me time every single day. And it's amazing at what that 10 minutes does, the conversations that can come with that bond, that trust, that they know that I am there for them, and that one-on-one time. I make it a point that I do not have my phone during mom and me time, but that is our sacred time together. And that is just so critical for kids because they need to understand that we're busy and life takes work, and my kids get that. I have not sugarcoated that to my kids in the least. I involve them actually a lot in my work, and I can talk about that in a minute as well. But I also show them that they are truly my number one priority, and being bonded and close with them is my number one priority in my life.
I hope that our listeners really get the importance of that, because now that my children are grown, my youngest now is 19, and the time flies by, and it almost makes me want to cry just thinking about it. That time flies by, and you think that you're going to have time, and then all of a sudden you look at your 19-year-old son, and you're like, what happened to that 3-year-old, right? That 5-year-old. Yeah. And we get so busy in life and so busy trying to provide for our children that we forget that the most important thing that they need is not money or things, it's time. And you just can't plan those special moments. And it's so important that you stop, take a deep breath, set aside all that stuff, and remember how blessed we are to have our children, right? How lucky we are to have them. And I want to share this little letter. My son will probably be mortified, but he knows that I do this. My birthday just was a few weeks ago, and I always tell my children that all I really want for my birthday and Christmas are love letters, because I love letters more than anything. And my children have written them their whole life. And I don't care what you say. I don't care if you just say I love you, but I want a love letter. My 19-year-old for my birthday wrote me this love letter, and I'll read it real quick. It says, Dear Mom, happy birthday to the greatest woman in my life. No matter how many girls come into my life, none of them will ever be able to take that spot. No girl can ever compete with the love we share. Wherever life takes me, I will always make time for you, and even if I'm across the planet in a different country, I will always be your little boy, no matter how big I get. I love you, Mama, forever and always, Dawn.
Aww.
And I know it makes me cry every time I read it, but I just think that time is so valuable, and your children learn the most from you by being an example. And you are such a shining example of not only a great real estate agent, but a great mom. And I think that sometimes we have a tendency to push our children or our relationships behind the scenes, thinking, but I'm out there doing work, I'm doing what's best for them, when that 10 minutes can be life-changing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller, and he talks about how we have these different balls that we juggle, and some are rubber, and if you drop them, they'll bounce, and some are glass, and if you drop them, they'll shatter, and one of those is our family relationship. Focus on protecting that glass ball as you juggle everything else.
Exactly. So you mentioned that you wanted to talk a little bit about what stuff you do with your kids, too.
Oh, yes. One of the things that, because my kids had a big adjustment from going from me being a stay-at-home mom to me working full-time, really wanted to figure out a way that I could incentivize my working for them. And like I said, I don't sugarcoat things to my kids. I'm very upfront. I'm very straightforward with my kids. And if there's times that they're fussing about, oh, what about this? And I say, do you like to eat? Do you like to have food to eat? Do you like to have a house live in? Yes. Okay, then I need to work. I'm really strict with my kids that if I am on a phone call and they're home, they need to be quiet. And they just know if Mom's on the phone, we have to be quiet. And anyways, but so I wanted to make it fun, too. And so I just kept thinking, okay, what can I do? What's something that my kids want that will be super fun that will get them excited for my career? Because I was super excited that I now was selling all these houses and really had on success, and they just didn't really get it. They're little. My kids are first grade, third grade, and fifth grade. And so then I came up with the idea that every time I closed on a house, I would put money in a savings account for something that we wanted to do. And my kids kept begging me to go to Disneyland. And so I said, okay, guys. And I figured out it's going to cost us about $1,000 to go to Disneyland. Every time I close on a house, I will put $100 per house in our Disneyland bank account. So they sat with me at the computer. I opened up a new bank account, named my bank lets me label accounts with my own name, so named it Disneyland account. I have a really great mobile app for my banking, and so I taught my kids how to get onto the app, and I'd be like, okay, guys, I sold a house today. I closed on it. And so I would have them sit with me and watch me transfer the money over, so then they got to see how much money was going into the account and what the balance was. And then it got to the point where I taught them to get on the app, because they'd be like, Mom, can I transfer the money? So then I taught them to get on the app and transfer the money over. And then I also started using it as a really good teaching tool for my kids of being frugal in the meantime, because then I told them, if we want to get to Disneyland faster, we can save money in other areas. Say, for example, we'd be going out for ice cream, and I'd say, okay, guys, we have two options. We can go to Cold Stone. It'll cost us about $15 for the four of us to go to Cold Stone, or we can go to Plain Jane Monday, which is a frozen yogurt shop that has all the millions of flavors. On Monday is 50% off if you do no toppings. And we can literally go to Plain Jane Monday for the four of us for about $3. And so I started teaching them the benefit of being frugal and saving money. And so I'd say, okay, if we go to Plain Jane Monday, I will put the price difference in the Disneyland bank account. And so I started using this Disneyland bank account as a learning opportunity for them, that as we work and we earn money, we can set some of it aside to do something fun. As we're frugal, we can take the money that we've saved and allocate it to somewhere else that would be something fun. And so my kids really were able to see the benefit of how working pays off, how being frugal pays off, and now they are so integrally involved in my work and my community events. They say, Mom, are we going to get more clients? And I'm like, yeah, we probably will. So they really take ownership in my career as well. And so now not only did we get to go to Disneyland, we also went to Disney World this last summer, and now we're saving up to go to Aulani, which is the Disney resort in Hawaii.
What an incredible lesson for your kids on so many levels. That's really exciting because they're learning not only the value of work, but that you have to wait, like the patience level. I think that is a challenge in our society right now, is that so many Exactly. And understanding that true value of hard work, right? Here's the hard work, and you get that done.
And we're paying cash for it. We're not putting it on a credit card. We're working, saving up the money, and paying cash for it.
That is really cool. So did you guys already go? You haven't gone yet, right?
To Aulani, no, that'll be this next summer. We'll go to Aulani this next summer. We went to Disney World this July of this year, July 2015. We went to Disney World, and then we did Disneyland October of 2014. So just over
that is so awesome. So now your kids are all super motivated and excited to help you. And what kind of activities do you have them do at their age?
So my girls are in dance, and then all three of my kids are competitive swimmers. And they used to do piano lessons, but then that we just fell by the wayside. And now they're asking me to do piano lessons again, so we'll do piano lessons as well. One of the things, though, that I believe very strongly in is not having my kids too overscheduled for many reasons. One, I really believe it's very important for them to have time to be kids. And two, for my sanity and for me being the best mom that I can be, I can't juggle them in 20 different activities every day of the week. We need family time. They need downtime. And for me, I just know where my limit is and what I can do. And that's not to say if you have your kids in extracurricular activities there's something wrong. I just know for myself and my family that the best answer for us is basically my kids each pick one activity. My son isn't in anything right now. During the summer, my kids swim competitively, and that is very time-consuming. It's 6 days a week, and I'm on the board for their swim team. But that, for me, is also keeping them active during the summertime when it's hot outside, and I feel like that's really important as well for them.
Having such an extraordinary first 18 months, what is next for you, Amanda? What's your goal for next year?
One of the things that has just come to me is I had the opportunity to speak in Florida at an event called the Curator Excellence Event, and it's some of the top agents from around the country were there, and I was able to tell my story and kind of share some of my insight on how I've been able to do what I've done in the first year and a half of my career. And that somehow caught the ear of the folks at Inman, and I was asked to speak at Inman Connect in New York in January, which I am so excited about, as
I'm so excited
I've talked
for
about
you.
before. One of the things that I've realized to really have a passion for is sharing my story with people. And so that is one of the things that is my goal in 2016 is not to share my story to say, look at me, to share my story to be inspirational to other people, to moms that may be in difficult circumstances, or to men that are coming out of hard times, or for whatever reason to help somebody maybe regain their focus. If I can be that inspiration to them to help them see it's possible, even in, I don't want to say less than ideal because I feel like I have an amazing life, but in circumstances that might make it trickier to really drive ahead and push ahead, that you can do it. That if you have the focus and the right mindset, that you can do it. You can achieve success. And that is definitely one thing that is on my goal list for 2016 is how can I reach out to other people and be inspirational to other people to help them reach for their goals and not fear success. As far as my business goals go, my goal is to sell $25 million in real estate in 2016. And I have a new program that I'm launching that's for veterans and first responders that will help them in their selling and buying of properties, and to really just continue to hone in on having a laser focus, to not have the little distractions that we all so easily can have in this life, and to just really, that's my number one goal, is to just stay focused, be present, and be very purposeful in anything that I'm doing. I heard a quote by Hal Elrod last week that I just absolutely loved, and he said, one of the biggest mistakes, maybe he was quoting somebody else, I can't remember, but he said one of the biggest mistakes that we can ever make is to think that right now doesn't matter. Whether it's an eating choice, whether it's if we're spending time on Facebook just killing time and we shouldn't be, whether it's, oh, I don't need to spend that time with my kids right now because we can do it in a little while. So the biggest mistake we can make is to pretend like right now doesn't matter. Right now does matter. Every right now matters. Life is comprised of right nows, of this moment. And so making sure that we take that right now and maximize its potential. And that's my aim for 2016, is to take every right now and make it absolutely worth just maximum potential and get every bit of life that I can.
You know what, Amanda? I'm not sure that we can add any more to this podcast because you have been amazing, and that was incredible what you just said. And I just have to say, again, it almost brings tears to my eyes because I'm so incredibly proud of you. You're such an inspiration to the real estate industry, to moms and to women everywhere, and to men too. But it just takes a different kind of person to be as amazing as you are, and I'm just so proud of you and so excited to be able to spend more time with you in this coming year, as we're going to be texting at 5 ridiculous a.m. in the morning on our own little venture to our Miracle Morning. Thank you so much for being
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity
Yeah, thank you so much, and I'm so inspired by you and so excited for you. I remember when you found out about Inman, you'd sent me a quick Facebook PM, and you just said, "Call me, it's important." And I was like, and I was stuck in a meeting, and I was like panicking. I'm like, "Oh my God, is something wrong?" I'm trying to figure it out. And so I was so excited when you said, "Oh my gosh, I'm speaking at Inman." That's such an accomplishment, and they are very honored to have you, I'm sure. So I can't wait to see what you're going to do. And thank you again for being on the show today, Amanda. Go out and make it a great day.
Thank you. Same to you, and same to everyone out there. Take that minute and make it important. Make it worth it.
Absolutely. All right. Make it a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us today on Real Estate Real World, where we talk with masters and leaders in the real estate industry and beyond on how we can raise the bar in our industry. Please subscribe over on iTunes, and while you're there, be sure to give us a review. Your reviews encourage us and help others to find our podcast for show notes and hot topics on what's going on right now in our real estate industry. Also, hop on over to www.realestaterealworld.com and add your name to our email to get early advance notice of upcoming podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and go out there and be a part of the elite masterclass and raising the bar on the real estate industry.